Coming in to do my daily live again. Short visit again today. Sorry, guys. It's not going to, well, I guess yesterday's turned into a longer day, but today has to end quicker. But I'm just going to let some people join in. So for those that are going to be just stopping in to watch later, then you'll be seeing, know that it's only a short video, so you can stay. Hey, Tyler. So nice to see you here. We're just letting some people get in before I start. Just bring it up on my phone so I can also see. Hello, Lisa and Tracy. Hello. Just seeing who we have. I can't wait till tomorrow to get my hair done. I have to, the blessing of being a hairdresser yourself. A retired hairdresser. I'm not a hairdresser. A retired hairdresser. Is I can get my hair done. Hello, Carlene and Edie and Coral. Hello. And Shiloh, good morning. So good. Good. It's still morning here. So I'm in for a short visit today. I am working today. I have clients today. I just finished a client this morning, and then I did get a walk-in. It is absolutely gorgeous here in Leduc. So I did get a walk-in. You're having a coffee on the back deck? I thought about taking my live to outside today because it was so nice outside. But I love my neighbors, but we all have dogs. And so one has a big black dog, and this one over here has a big black dog on this side. And then I have these two little yappy little Yorkies in the middle. So it's like little ping-pongy back and forth. These two little dogs in the middle, like two little bowls that are just like they start barking and then the big ones start. So inside I have to stay. Yes, Lisa, me too. I'm excited for tonight's class. I don't know why, but tonight's class is my Diamond Effects program that I created and teach, and we're in week 3. And there's something about everything, but there's something about that program that's just like so amazing. It's a healing program. It's an ascension program. It's a clearing, and it's a lot of things that happen in that program. So I'm just excited. Roots are in. Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, it definitely shows that I'm not a blonde. But I have been a blonde I've had blonde hair since I was 20. My daughter was just born. So I was 24 years old when I went blonde, and my hair is almost black naturally. I am Aboriginal. And so I've had blonde hair that long. And I've never really gone back to dark hair except for once. So this morning is basically to read the energy of the day. It's like I'm coming in to read the energy. That's what we do in the mornings here, is that I read the energy. I give a card to go with the energy and what's happening. And I use my experiences, of course, to share these stories along with it. And where I am. And if where I am links to you, then you're like, oh my God. But I've been sharing a lot of channeled messages on my YouTube on one of my YouTube channels. I do have a new podcast to go today as well on She Is. I recorded yesterday evening. So that'll be going out today. But the channeled messages are what is channeling through. That's not of most times, not even of anything I have knowledge of until I open my mouth and the channeling starts. And there's a lot of comments on people commenting on how it resonates with them, how they're feeling this energy. So I know that right now, sharing energy that helps a collective is much more productive than pulling, like every time coming in, pulling an individual card and everybody being left out and one or two getting a reading. So this for me in my mornings is something I have learned to absolutely love. I love doing this. So the energy that comes up with me today, and my back is on fire, which means that the healer is well activated here and the angels are here. We have a lot of the guardians here today. I am working through Metatron today. And so hopefully this energy will help you there, Kavita. Maybe this energy will help you there somehow. We are all one. Exactly, Tyler. We are all one. We are all interconnected. We are all of one. And that's the way I put it all the time. We are all of one. And there's such an amazing journey when you start to recognize that. And so when I started when I started channeling through for the energy, and I was asking what was needed today. First thing I was going to do, because I have been days and days and days really focusing on a real deep inner healing on myself, like a new level of something that I didn't even know I even needed until it showed up for me, and a deeper level of healing within my own self, back to my connection to Jesus, to Mother Mary in a big way. But I found myself this morning finding Metatron coming through, and Metatron started to come through in a big way of just, first I was going to sit down and meditate, and he said, "No, you'll meditate while you move today." And I went to leave the house, and my neighbors needed some help to get a dog, get their dog. And by the time we got to the edge, another neighbor had already stopped and helped the kids hold on to the dog. And I'm like, people are coming together. And it was on all four corners. It's like on the corners, like people are coming together. People are starting to get this somehow. And I just feel like it's like there's something that is of change. But Metatron was showing me the web, and I see it as a big web. And I have this big spider webby image that I work through that they show me. And then I see rings and triangles and squares, like everything. There's nothing that it doesn't give me. And so what I've been getting, um, good. I'm glad you love listening. Thank you. I don't know why I had looked down to see that message, but and so with Metatron, what I'm being told today with Metatron is that, it takes a lot of, remember being in grade 1, 2, 3, like in those earlier grades, and you had to learn math based on you get those little squares, like, and you have those little squares and you count up the squares and you put the squares together, and it's like putting all the building blocks together. And you have one, you have to have a bigger row on the bottom, then you get the next level, next level, next level. Well, more than existing is basically about from the building your empire and the foundation work that comes within that. So Metatron was telling me that we're at this critical turning point in our own consciousness, not in the world's consciousness, in each and every one of us, where we are all one, where we are all of one, that core center of us. So I'll explain it from a hairdresser's view. In the center of the hair, there is this one little tube. It's like a straw energy. And it's kind of like everything that's of great value is in there. Well, through us, we have that one core thread, and it connects us all the way through. And it's not to divide us. It's not so that we separate our masculine and our feminine side. We do that in human. Like in that human self, we go, you have right side, left sided brain. You're either right sided or you're left sided. No, you're all of that. It's just what you are conditioned to use, or what you're conditioned to believe. So our bodies, and being conditioned, you say, oh, you define yourself even by your astrological chart. It's amazing. It's like, so I'm an Aries, so I'm very masculine, or I'm very much in my masculine energy. And I'm like, well, no, I'm very much in my feminine too. And so you can argue that point, or you can try to prove it to the world that you are. And so then you condition yourself and you program yourself to become more of what you want to convince people that you are. In the meantime, what you don't realize, you're putting on mask. You're starting to create personas and roles to become more of what everyone else wants you to be, and all in a desire to just be you. Amazing. All in a desire to just be you. Whereas what we're being told right now is that, first of all, 99.9% of us really had no idea who we really are. Because from the moment you arrived, somebody started to condition you. You've been conditioned since you got here. The programming starts before you even get here. So the soul self, that spirit essence of you, that soul self, that hard wiring that's inside of us, has lived many lifetimes. Well, part of that also becomes your personality, but it's the more grown up of our personality. It is the spiritual maturity. It is the emotional maturity of us on a soul level, on a spirit level, on a deeper core level. It is where everything of wisdom that we would need would come from. The problem is the outside of that is the human. And the human is conditioned based on fears and insecurities and previous experiences that the people who conditioned us or program us had experienced. So they condition us to have our hates, have our judgment, have our criticism. They also created us to have that to have that sense of uh, what word do I want to use, of what love would mean to us, or what words would mean to us, like how we define our lives. And so as we start to question a lot more of our own actions and our own behaviors, and you really have to go to your own negative behavior more than existing. I don't let things go of, oh, well, everyone just have to accept the way you are. Yeah, they might have to, but are you going to accept all that you are? Are you going to accept that you act like you're five when you're made uncomfortable? Are you going to be okay with that at 40, 50? And I talk to myself like that. At 50 years old, am I still going to, when the world is not giving me what I want, am I going to have a tantrum and start kicking and screaming and acting like I'm two? Am I going to, is that really how I should behave at that age? Now that's the soul self, that's the soul language speaking to you, because the personality that is created, the part of your identity, which is the more innate of us, which is the more deeper rooted of us, is the experience that the soul self has already lived. And that's what we do in Diamond Effects. That's what we do in More Than Existing, is that I have the ability to really, truly trust in that I've been fully, what is it they said, that when we did my human connection stuff and my hands and my everything, is that I've been, by the time I was seven, I was well evolved, well beyond this earth. And so there's this maturity, because I was listening to soul language as much as I could until I thought I had to become like everyone else. So in my drive to prove to people that I was, wasn't weird, or it wasn't odd, or I wasn't all those things, I fell out of alignment of the soul self. So coming back into that alignment and coming back into here, there is no divide. We're divided by what people tell us, or by the story that we create. So the only division is the one that is created to either that has a motive, an intention, or some sort of cause of a why it needs to create a divide. And so that divide is fake. It is false. It is not real. Everything in the human existence, those illusions, it was all an illusion, but the story became a reality. And the reality of it is what we are dealing with and what we are existing within, by now having to face the consequences for illusions, for believing that we were divided for so long. And this is about us coming back in, right? Right. And yeah, the root chakra develops in the first 7 years. Yes. And so does your identity. So your identity, your ID of you in the psychological. So when we're working through, and not psychology or psychiatric identity, when we're working through the identity of a person through like Freud and Alan Watts and those type of work, and as a life coach, is that in those stages of from womb, right? And so your root and then your sacral, like those carry those emotional, and your umbilical cord connection, all is within there. But that's in our human existence. Your personality is well beyond that. And that's the part that we get back to. So when you come back into here, when we talk about being your true self is tied and connected to the soul self, which is so much deeper. And so you have a much deeper self. But the problem is like the most of the world, you're afraid of ghosts. And because you have a fear of what you can't see or what you don't know, we become afraid of ghosts. So you become afraid of yourself. If you're afraid of ghosts, if you're afraid of the dark, if you're afraid of what's around the corner, you're afraid of you. Because somewhere in another lifetime, in that soul connection, there is a story that is tied to your personality of where your real truth is. And so your real truth arrived with you while you were even in that womb. And your real truth came with you the moment you were born. But finding that, connecting back to that, means that you have to unlearn. You have to undevelop. You have to deprogram. You have to deprogram from everything you would have ever thought you would have ever known. And everybody, we all create programs and stuff based on, what we exist in and what we experience in. So we don't all know what is right and what is wrong, right? We all just have a truth that we can accept and live by. When you come into the soul self on such a level, it's really hard to accept your own negativity. It's really hard to accept your own bad behavior. You stop focusing on the world's bad behaviors and on everybody else's bad behavior. And you start to really own your own shit. You own the own pieces of you. You start to own something on such a deeper level. And that's where I've been for the past few years, right? That's interesting, right? And so it's like born with the umbilical cord around my neck. I almost didn't make it. I've been getting messages to cut those, right? So I'm going to change that story for you, Tyler, right now. You didn't almost not make it. You fully made it. And that's where the story has to change. I didn't almost make it. I made it. Take out the other word is a filler because it provides for you a story. It provides for you a story. And it starts to become part of the programming in your life. Take that out, right? And so when you look at this on a deeper level, oh yeah, I'm so glad Tanya you got in. Yes. So Tyler, if you Tyler, and even like Shiloh, all of you that are newer to my page, if you have not ever heard of human design, go to Lisa's Loving Energy Recharge, and she teaches the beginning stages of she has a program for human design about like a beginner's program to human design. It will help you so freaking much. I suggest doing it. I'm in my 7th year of my human design, and it's fantastic. So yeah, right. And more as I'm talking about Lisa's human design, she's down there talking about more than existing. Your more than existing program has a life changing in learning to accept right responsibility for actions and behaviors, right? And you're working with human design. Well, there you go. And so, yeah, and more than existing is life changing. It is a big program. It's you commit to it in the times that you can, in the levels, but it's life changing. Yeah. So Raven, there you go. Right. And so, yeah. And so, it helps. But this is like, so this is more than all the program. This is kind of a little bit of all the programs kind of put together, but deprogramming. And so coming back into here is when you hear me speak about the middle road, that's from here, because the maturity of my personality, the maturity of self is now starting to speak on such a high level that if I'm of the ascendant wise ones and the ascendant masters, then they're ascending me to a higher level, that means I have to hold myself to a higher standard of accountability, responsibility, to be that. To if you want to see that change in the world, you have to grow up yourself, right? And so a lot of my work, you'll often hear me say, it is time to grow up. It is time to emotionally and spiritually grow up, because the problem is that we have a lot of leaders, corporations, those type of things that are ran by people who are still trying to heal the unhealed child within story through the material world. And it will never work. And by those fast decisions, that impulse of do it now, do it now, do it now, that is fine if you are healthy and you're mature and you're grown up and you can think on your feet. But if if the whole world is already in trauma response, and now we're going to get people to jump that quickly, really? So what Metatron keeps telling me is that wrapped around that core of that soul self is that Metatron energy. It is the web. It's like it has its own fiber optic system. So it's all of these portals and all these portals where you can open up these doors of these parts of your personality that you didn't even know existed. And that's why sometimes you go from not liking something to liking something, like food wise, because as you start to mature, as you start to grow, as you start to heal, you're not angry that somebody else has more money than you. You're not believing that, you're out in the playground and everybody should have exactly the same. You're starting to recognize that if I want to have more, I'm going to have to work for more, but it doesn't mean I stomp the world into the ground to get that. It doesn't mean that I have to be the bully, because those things are the childlike behavior that are the unhealed. Whereas being childlike and to use our imagination to be more creative, to imagine. Imagine if we could take the world into a bigger way. Imagine if, so you imagine is what you do is you stretch, you expand yourself, you expand your possibilities. And so you start to really recognize that we have a lot that has been very limited. Oh, what's wrong, baby? Oh, what, you so scared? We have a lot that's, who just came into your house? What was that? Someone just came in, she figures, right? And so there's so many things that are just like playing out um throughout those webs and those little portals, that if we start to open that up. So there's just a lot of things that are happening right now, but it is really truly right now about us allowing ourselves to stop using the divided story. That has to become that has become like, not I'm not using the word cancel. This has to become like threaded through with a white light. So white light and love to bring this through. So stop even dividing yourself in your masculine, your feminine energy, your left brain, your right brain. You're one. You're one. It's like, I'm just this one. I don't know what energy I'm in today. I don't know what the energy is around me, but I am just one. And just becoming that essence of that one. So pulling that energy in. So really, truly looking at the places where we are dividing, and we're arguing with even we're arguing with our soul self, because our soul self knows the difference to a lot of the falsehood that is existing within us and existing within our own world. And so when you learn to look beyond, the reflection, which is my second book, you learn to be able to look a little bit deeper and to allow yourself to start to let the soul language communicate to you, which means you start to look at your own behavior, your own negativity. You do a daily review. You review of the way you behaved, the way you acted, the way you showed up today, and you start to do those things. And then you start to notice the things that, what do I need to change? What do I need to put focus and work into? Where do I need to redirect myself? What do I want to do different tomorrow? Because your tomorrow doesn't exist, right? And so if today your biggest focus is who you'll be tomorrow, then you're always with a stranger. You're always with a stranger. And if you're always in the past, you're always with a stranger still. So the more you're hanging out with a stranger, you will never ever know you. And that's the truth. Because that you're making relationships that are not real with the stranger of you who does not exist. So you create these images of this stranger, this person who you believe, and then you have an expectation on tomorrow and the day after and the day after that may not be. And who's going to be needed and who's going to show up? That's all going to depend on what you're going to do in your today that's going to make the difference. So become one and build the relationship based on this today, and start from right there. And that's where it starts from. Go right there. So let's give this a card to validate it. I'm glad you needed this today, Tyler. Oh, yes. I liked Tyler's page, Sparkle. I did go to, what's the full name? I did go to their page. I loved their page. I liked it. I haven't been on there since, because I really haven't been on my Facebook very much. All right. So I'm going to give a card to validate this. So rebirth, purity. Here we go. And this is going right down into the root, and this Divine Sparkle. That's what it is. Their page. So Ricky and Tyler are Divine Sparkle. They're both healers and psychic mediums as well, and they have their own page. And so they're over at Divine Sparkle, and I did like their page. And so this is rebirth, this is purity, and this is not in the moment of birth. It's that moment after. This is where our truth lays. So the more time you spend with the one person that you keep running from, the one person you create the enemy with, the one person that you keep dividing the most, the more you spend there, the more that you become connected and rooted to your truth and to who you really are, without having to go find so much more, because that treasure hunt is so connected to you. The biggest treasure is inside of you. So coming back into that core center is you'll never be divided. There's no division. And so taking away that divide story, if we take away that divide story, we're going to take away the power of what is dividing humanity, what is dividing the people, just take the divide story out. Take it out of your own story. Start with you first. And when if everyone starts taking that out of their story, the world will be a much better place. And that's what I got for you. That's what I got for you today. I do have to go. I have clients, but thank you all for being here with me. Thank you for joining me. And like I said, if you want to know more about human design, I do suggest going to Loving Energy Recharge. Check out some of Lisa's stuff. And she also has a YouTube channel as well. And she's Lisa Stewart Richard in here, but she's Loving Energy Recharge on her work page. So if you go there, and to everyone who's joining in, who's not commenting, to everyone who's just here with me all the time, thank you. You are on YouTube and Facebook. It is on both, so you can go to both. I do have a podcast coming out today. In She Is Podcast, I have 2 YouTube channels. And then also, I have my realm course coming up as well. So if you're interested in my realm course, it's a 2-week course, and we're starting with the fairy realm, the elements. And so if you want to join me into that one's going to be a 2-week. I think it's like 90 minutes each time, or 2 hours. I can't remember. And it starts in June, and that's going to be a fun class. So, well, we never know how they're all going to unfold once I start to talk, but they're there. So you can go join me over there. And so thank you very much. I do have to go. I have clients, but I will be back again tomorrow morning sometime. I don't know if morning or afternoon. I think morning. I'll be back in the morning tomorrow morning, and I will see you then. So today, what can you commit to stop in that coming back home to you? One thing you can do to start spending more time with you today. So much love. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye. I'm glad you love my topic today.